So again, good morning ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Foundation Expo 88 YouTube, and we'll just delve into the interesting story, a Cold War story of tension and drama between Russia and America. So Leo, if you could tell us that story.
Oh, fine. Well, you were mentioning before, when did it all happen, that we thought it was going to be a success. And one of the big issues that we were worried about was the number of people who were going to display, the number of countries that were going to display. And to make it a World Expo, we wanted everybody there. And we wanted the senior nations of the world. The United States had to be there, Australia of course, Britain of course, and Russia of course, and Japan and people like that, as well as the other nations as well, Nepal and whatever. Anyhow, trying to get Russia on board was a little bit difficult. And the Russian ambassador here had sent up a gentleman from Moscow who had come out to look at it. And this gentleman had come out twice. And he was quite a big man, rough and rugged, and he put us through the mince machine with these questions. But after the interviews, we always were kind to him, took him back out to the airport, so he could go home and think about it. And each time we did that, each of the 2 times we did that, on the way out to the airport, the one question that he kept asking was, how big is the United States pavilion? Yes. So that was sort of reassuring to us, because if he was thinking how big, he's obviously going to try to beat us, and he's going to come. And they did come.
I must look up statistically to find out whether he was big.
Yeah, I don't know whether it would have been.
John McGregor will no doubt know
the USA,
yeah,
the USA wouldn't have been, I suppose.
Maybe you compromised and they were both exactly the same.
Could have been.
Anyway, so just then moving on, and I had a really great question pop into my mind during that little bit, but it's gone now, but it'll come back. So Expo's concluded, they're in the process dismantling the site. You're confident that you have the land value is more than 200 million, and then the process was presentation, and I remember the photos, and it was a mixture between a Crown casino in one way and really a revamped Jupiter's, I think for want of a better word, was to be developed on the site. And then the proverbial hit the fan. I don't think 80% of people, I reckon, objected and complained and bellyached about it, and I think it caught the government, which would be a Ahern, completely off guard. And because I think Salou was in favour of it, fairly certain Frank Moore was in favour of it, but the people power really just rebelled. Yeah. So.
Well, I was still being motivated by the guarantee that I had, in inverted commas, that I'd given to the government that they could put on for nothing, for nil cost. And here we were, $200 million still owing, and the land. So we'd actually gone through the procedure to ask for statements of interest for developers of the site. Now, I don't think, I can't recall, I don't think there was a casino in it.
You said it was, but it could be.
It would have come from one of the developers, but whether it was approved would have been another question, because you don't just put casinos.
Yes, exactly right.
Anyhow, when we got all these in, all these statements of interest in, we kept the government fully informed. But by this time, the people were aware of what we were doing, and they had, the Expo was theirs, their little baby, and they didn't want it to be ending up in a commercial development. Whereas with the development, it was not going to be all commercial, it was going to be parks and gardens and everything else. But anyhow, they almost rebelled.
They did rebel.
And then the government took the decision that they would hold the $200 million debt, look after it, retain the land, and develop a South Bank. And that was the best decision that could have come out of the Expo.
You said that before we started the recording, and your conviction in your voice was just so honest and so compelling. I'm glad you said it again with such conviction, because I do think that the Expo was an apocalyptic event in Brisbane's history, and you know, it is just such a wonderful asset that's come out of it.
Well, a development like the South Bank, as you know, is something we can be very proud of. We take visitors, international visitors across there with their chest out. But that sort of a development has not always, around the world, has not always been the successor to an Expo. New York and all those places.
John McGregor, who's more of the Expo expert than me, tells me that you know, it is acknowledged as the best post-Expo. But in saying that, it was a small Expo. I mean, it's a little bit unfair in a way to compare it against some of these massive expos where there's got miles and miles of land that they're actually handling. But still, at the end of the day, it is a success, and I do think that, you know, I'd just be interested now as to what your thoughts are as to how the 25th anniversary can be interplayed into the G20. And I know that's not something we've spoken about, but that's, I think, a good way of rounding up and concluding the thoughts of Expo 88 plus 25, which is the anniversary next year that we'll actually be celebrating.
Well, that's a difficult question, which I should really take on notice, but
that's right.
If I just make one point about the debt, $200 million debt, just to conclude that little story, the government has recovered more than $200 million.
Well, the interest cost, so I would hope it has.
It had, with the sale of and development of the commercial buildings on that site at the moment, and the rest of it we got for nothing.
With the parkland.
The parkland.
Yeah.
So that parkland really cost the Queensland budget nothing.
And
in response.
And it is a fantastic asset to the city. And with that, even though we haven't dealt with the G20, but we might come back with another one, we shall see. I'll just conclude that YouTube and again say that, you know, there are a series of YouTubes, and it's just nice to be able to delve in and just get the opinions of the various movers and shakers that were around at the time. And with that, again, good morning and thank you.